October.
Brocktober.
It should be No Bra November, but we're in October, so.
November.
November!
Welcome to an emergency recording of Let's Rewatch, the show where we watch movies from our youth and decide if they're still any good. Apparently, the movie that we're watching this week has been getting a lot of attention on the internet, so we had to perform an emergency recording to address this this late-breaking, meme-inducing movie. Which also...
I think you're making it sound like something more than it is.
We've pretty much decided that we were going to watch this movie, like, the first time that we started recording the podcast.
Also,
Ash
I
and
don't
did.
think this movie is as big as that gif of the CW skeleton guy doing his little dance.
I'm Nick.
I'm Ash.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
Minus?
And that's Bryce.
And so the movie we're watching this week in our emergency town hall meeting of Let's Rewatch is Hocus Pocus from 1993. Apparently a favorite in this group for Halloween festivities.
I think it's a necessary, right, Sam?
I
for
agree.
October.
It's not really Halloween without this movie.
Without Bette Middler singing randomly.
And riding a vacuum.
So I've never seen this ridiculousness.
Really? You've never seen Hocus Pocus?
I've never seen this. So
Okay, Nick.
This is going to be fun.
I don't see why this is so essential.
Buckle up, bitches.
Yeah.
Do not rain on our parade, Nick, because this is not by any means like a film masterpiece, but it is amazing still.
And
so,
even that's an understatement.
yeah.
This is from 1993, which I think says a lot about the two of you and why you're so excited about it.
Our childhood.
Yeah, this is the same year as Jurassic Park. So I think this is like...
So all the good movies came out that year.
Well,
I see.
I think it's clear that some foundational memories for you came from 1993. I think this is...
So 5 years old. That's like the...
You were 5 years
That's
old
like
in
the...
1993.
I was. That's like the year where you start, like the memories start searing in your brain, maybe.
Wow, that's crazy.
That I was 5.
That you're so passionate about movies that you saw when you're 5. Although I guess I'm pretty excited about E.T. Like E.T. is a pretty important movie.
E.T. is amazing.
And I'm very passionate about the fact that E.T. scared the living bejesus out of me.
I cried.
Great
Because
movie.
I was 5! Did it scare you too?
No, I cried. Every time when he
you cried.
died, I was just bawling.
Yeah,
And then I could not
you're
be consoled.
supposed to.
Yeah.
So Hocus Pocus was directed by a fellow named Kenny Ortega.
King?
Kenny.
Oh.
Like the chili.
I am King Ortega.
Well, there's a director named King Vidor.
Is it really?
Yeah, what did he direct?
I'm sure it's
So
amazing.
it was the Wizard of Oz era. I can't remember which movies. He may have been involved with Wizard of Oz. It had like 3 different directors at some point.
Someone correct us on Twitter.
But we're not talking about King Vidor. We're talking about Kenny Ortega. The name seemed kind of familiar to me when I heard it. And when I look him up, it turns out that this dude is like musical guy. His first major film was Newsies, which I think has a lot of fans. Hocus Pocus would be his second. He would go on to be the auteur behind the High School Musical films.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is that guy.
Why,
and
Ortega, why?
the Michael Jackson film This Is It, which I think is like a concert film. So yeah, he's like super musical guy.
It apparently wasn't it for you.
It was for Michael Jackson.
Oh, dark
Wah,
joke.
wah.
Really dark joke.
And he's involved with The Descendants, which...
Oh,
Really?
the
Are
band?
you excited about Descendants? You're really into that other Disney show.
Wait, are we talking about the show or the
show.
band?
The show.
No, I don't know the show.
Oh, it's like The Runaways, but for Disney characters. It's like the children of the Disney villains.
Oh,
Aren't you into that other Disney show?
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, yeah.
Yes, it is my guilty pleasure.
I love that
So I don't know
show
if-
so much.
It's
I don't
pretty
know if
good.
Descendants is like Once Upon a Time or if it's like Disney Channel, preteen sitcoms. But
or
I've been
it's
hearing a
that
lot
indie
about
band. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking the Decemberist. God damn it. Never mind.
Or the Hawaii movie starring George Clooney.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's
Written
none
by
of
Jim
those
Rash.
things. Yeah. So yeah, this is like musical guy, which, you know, again,
Musical guy. That's how you have to say it.
I haven't seen this movie, but now I'm wondering, is this going to be like a Bette Midler musical situation?
Well,
Well, there will be one. Spoilers.
there will be one. At least one.
At least one Bette Midler?
I remember
Bette
one.
Midler. Yeah.
Which leads us to predictions, and I predict that I will not enjoy Bette Midler musical stuff.
It's only one. It's only one. And they like kind of, unlike other movies where people randomly burst into song, they like kind of integrate this into a logical moment. It's not completely unlogical while they're singing.
Okay. It occurred to me like this is a possible downfall to this podcast idea, because at some point I'm going to have to come out of the gate as the uncharismatic bummer of a guy just saying, I think I'm going to hate this. I don't think I'm going to like this at all.
I don't think you're gonna like it either. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
either.
I'm not a Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy target audience member.
You know, Bette Midler has said though that this was her favorite role, and like you could really tell that she's having a great time.
Okay. So it's like the most Bette Midler-y Bette Midler?
I don't know.
Which, that doesn't appeal to me either.
No, it's like just throw away everything you know about Bette Midler and just think of her as an actress, a random actress that you don't know.
Again,
And I think you'll enjoy it.
let me refer you to the box art. Does she look like she's
With the-
having fun?
She is doing duck lips on the box.
This-
It
so
really does not look like a movie I would like.
Duck face before duck face was a thing.
Bette Midler face? Shall we change it to that?
I think the amount of joy I'll get from this movie is exactly proportional to the amount of joy I get from Sarah Jessica Parker, which
Okay,
is
again, you gotta like both Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker play these roles that you've like never seen them play before, and they do such a good job.
No,
like
I'm saying like Sarah Jessica Parker's pretty good.
right, but I'm
I'm
just
not, like,
this
Sarah
is a
Jessica
role that I
Parker
don't
fan.
think you've seen her in before.
Okay, clearly.
Because I'm a huge Sex and the City fan, and I love Sex and the City, and like the character Carrie Bradshaw is so different than the one that she's playing in this movie.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, the character she plays in this movie is Magical Junkie.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
Magical blonde dits.
Okay.
She looks pretty like cracked out the whole time in this.
She does look very cracked out.
So I guess this movie has been getting a lot of attention on the internet lately. You've been talking about that. I haven't really seen it. So what's going on? What's going on with Hocus Pocus on the memes?
Well, there's tons of wonderful memes on the internet of Hocus Pocus, which are great. But I found an article on Hollywood.com that says 25 things you didn't know about Hocus Pocus, and I won't read them all.
Sounds like your standard
up.
link bait article.
Buckle up while we list all 25. No, but some interesting facts. Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio was offered a bunch of money to play the part of Max, but turned it down to do What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which, of course, gave him critical praise.
Yeah,
So
but
who
he
the hell
essentially
was-
turned down an Oscar.
Oh, I remember reading this one. This one was really interesting. So apparently, there's a scene where Billy comes out of his grave, and he cuts the stitches open from his mouth, and out of his mouth actually comes real moths. And the crew actually put a dental dam in his mouth to keep the moths from going down his throat, which is kind of crazy. They're not CG.
That reminds me of, there's a scene in Silence of the Lambs where they pull the moth cocoon out of a dead body, but that had to be a real person playing the dead body. So they made this moth cocoon out of like Tootsie Rolls and shit, just in case she swallowed it.
Ugh.
Is
interesting.
that real? That doesn't
Gross.
sound real.
Why wouldn't that be real?
I don't know.
That sounds like exactly what you'd do if you had to jam something
Like-
that looked like a moth cocoon down somebody's throat.
A
Never have to
like a
jam
real
something
movie
down my
though,
throat.
like they didn't have the budget for like one prosthetic head or whatever.
Yeah. Are you sure it was a real person?
Maybe they thought it was more realistic to have a actual person there.
Maybe.
Wait, what? Oh, I was only half listening to you, and now I'm really disturbed. Another fun fact: 9 cats played Thackeray Banks, the cat.
Wait, Nan Cat?
The cat. 9 cats.
Oh.
9 cats have 9 lives.
What are you thinking of cats who survived Nam? Like they were in the shit?
No, Nyan Cat with the little animated cat.
Another fun thing is that the film rights almost went to Steven Spielberg. So
But he
that
turned
would've
it
been-
down
This
for
was like
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Way to go, Spielberg. Give us
God,
the book.
Spielberg. Good job.
So Spielberg done fucked up.
Yeah.
Made a movie about dinosaurs
Well,
instead.
I don't know about that.
I think
I
like
don't know about that.
instead of separate facts, there's just one fact is that this movie was almost a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was almost a Spielberg film. Like, this would have been a really, really different movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Also, I remember reading
Leo.
that same article, and one of my favorite little facts is that this was supposed to be a direct-to-TV movie for Disney Channel, and somehow got a theatrical release. And I think once you watch...
In the summer, too.
In the summer, yeah.
Which apparently was odd.
Very
Yeah.
odd.
Which means that old Kenny Ortega came full circle, and now he's making Disney Channel.
That's true.
Musicals.
Disney was like, this guy, we're keeping this guy.
This is our guy.
This is it.
So, Brett, what do you think you're gonna feel from this movie?
Well,
Emotions?
I have various memories of this film, and I feel like it's gonna be enjoyable in the bad movie kind of way, because it's definitely not like just a giant piece of crap, except that I do remember at some point in the movie something happens that makes no sense, and I will shout about it afterwards when it happens, because I'm sure you will too.
It's the whole movie.
But
yeah, let's see if we're on the same page when that rolls around.
yeah, this is enjoyably bad is my guess.
All right, so we've got Ash and Sam here who are clearly enthusiastic. When
big
was the
fan.
last time either of you have seen this movie?
I honestly can't remember the last time I saw it and paid attention to it. I had it on in the background sometime a couple years ago while I was working on art stuff, and I did not really pay attention. So I don't know.
You think you're gonna still be on board?
Yeah, for me,
You're still
this
excited.
movie is like the embodiment of the Halloween spirit. So that's what I will enjoy about it. As far as like filmmaking and the art of filmmaking, probably not going to be great. But I'll allow it.
Ash, are you on the same page with this?
I don't think I've seen it in a really long time either. It's definitely been a long time. It's one of those movies though, like, you know, if you're flipping through the channels, you leave it on. It's good. It's constantly ranked as one of my favorite Halloween films. There's so many like specific scenes in this movie that I remember. I love the Sarah Jessica Parker song that she sings. I always wanted a cat named Banks. I always wanted a black cat named Banks because of this movie. The scene where they land in the library and you hear like the French recording of Bibliothèque, and it's like
Où
it's
est
like
la
some
bibliothèque?
Yes, exactly. And you haven't even seen the movie, and you know.
Right, but I've seen Flight of the
Like
Conchords.
Fuda Fafa? Is that what?
Yeah.
Really?
Parlez-vous français? No.
À la piscine? Splash, splash.
Où est la piscine?
But there's tons of just great
Aya.
moments. I'm being overshadowed here by a Flight of the Conchords cover. Yeah, this is definitely one of my top favorite Halloween films. It's definitely a good one.
Okay. Bryce, what do you think?
Not really sure if I've seen this one, so
You still don't even know.
yeah, I don't know.
Really? You haven't seen this?
I thought I had, but the more I've heard you guys talk about it, the less confident I feel about that.
From this conversation, it seems like this is kind of the best case scenario of what we're dealing with in this podcast on the whole.
Yeah.
You two like it because you remember liking it. So it'll be interesting to
I
see
will fight you.
if you still like it, if it's still any good.
It will be interesting. I think I will still like it.
Well, let's all check out Hocus Pocus, and let's all meet here after that ridiculousness and talk about how we feel about it. I put a spell on you. Because we're podcasting. Put down your iPhone and sit here silently. I ain't asking.
So, at what point does it become like ethical to use the souls of children to maintain life forms?
It's where we're headed in our future.
Are you asking us or the Nazi Party?
I'm asking
they're
you guys.
witches.
What? But yeah, well, that was dumb. But the witches are dead at the end of the movie, and they have this book, and this book has the recipe for sustaining human life indefinitely. Is it okay to use the soul of a child to like keep Stephen Hawking alive forever?
Suddenly, this became an episode of Torchwood.
Wow, this is deep.
This is my question.
Wow.
The movie ends, but there's so much more to talk about.
What are the implications of reading a book that can read you?
Okay, how many children though? How many? Because Stephen Hawking.
I think they were pretty clear in the movie that you only needed like one child to go back like a decade at least.
I'm gonna go with like
Okay,
3
so
decades.
here's where we need to call upon our Twitter audience. There is a sci-fi story or some thought experiment. I think it's a sci-fi story in which there's a town that completely sustains all life and happiness, but it sucks the life force of a single child.
Oh Jesus!
And it's basically that same
Is that
that
L.A.?
question.
Is it weird that I'm like super okay with that?
That
Yes.
everybody has happy, fruitful, joyous lives, but one child is being tortured at all time?
Yeah, but like, do you
Is it
see
like-
the kid?
Brett,
I don't.
I don't know if I ever
It's
want to
okay
have
if you don't
children with
see
you.
it.
This is terrifying. How could you say
I
that?
definitely do not want to have children with you.
Well, is it in a comfortable cage?
No. It's
No.
being tortured.
Well, yeah,
is it-
but they didn't specify is it tortured in like a really comfortable chair?
Do you volunteer as sacrifice then?
I mean, I feel like that should be like decided by a lottery, and my chances are pretty good.
He can't,
seeing as you're not a
volunteer because he's not a child anymore. So
We live in a city of
Are you-
9 million people. I'm okay. I'm cool. I'll roll the dice.
I don't understand how Dick Cheney got on this podcast. I think he just invented the Hunger Games.
the Hunger.
And there's a lottery where you
Yeah.
pick out one
You
child
really
to be sacrificed.
did. Holy shit! Are you like
okay, but
secretly-
You're like
that's like the
President
opposite
Snow
though.
over here.
Mine is like the first kid out in the Hunger Games is the one that gets tortured.
Now, how long does it get tortured? Like the rest of its life? And like, do they torture it enough
Until
to
it's
kill
not
it?
a child.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting because does it have to be the same kid until the kid dies, or does it just have to be that one person has to be constantly being tortured? Because then, like, you volunteer for torture for a week, and then you get like a ridiculous sum of money or something. Like, obviously,
So they
it's
release-
sustaining the town.
So they release this bewildered child into the cold light of day,
You are
having
free.
been tortured. Like, now enjoy all the fruits of society, and it's just traumatic. It's like Kimmy Schmidt walking around not knowing how to handle his shit anymore because he's been tortured to make everybody else happy.
What if it was younger Jay and Silent Bob from the movie?
Yeah,
What is
was
that?
that weird?
You mean James Franco?
James Franco, aka Jay from Jay, and his character name was Jay, by the way.
Yeah, Jay
It
and
was
Not So
Jay.
Silent Ice.
Yeah. Something happened in between that time period. In fact, maybe it was Hocus Pocus. Maybe it was this event that made Silent Bob go silent for the rest of his
You
life.
mean Ice?
Ice. Back then he was Ice, but his friends knew him as Silent Bob.
So I think it's important to say that before we watched this movie, I was pretty sure that I wouldn't like it. And then it started, and I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then
Oh no.
it transitioned to modern day.
Oh.
Like, I did not... There's so many movies like this.
So the time period is the reason why you didn't like this movie?
No, not the time period, but what was happening. Like, so many movies, it's like the first reel of the movie is really good, and then we're stuck with the rest of the movie.
So exactly at what point did the reel change there, Nick?
It was...
How many frames was it exactly when they
not-
changed reels and?
the first section of the movie. But it's like, wow, this is like exactly what it's a story about what they were afraid of in colonial Salem. You know, when they were hunting and killing witches, this is a representation of what they thought was happening and why they had to kill witches. And it was clearly comic-y and over the top, but suddenly I'm into this movie where they play the idea of witches in Salem as a real thing. Like, this is a cool, fun concept.
What do you mean it's not a real thing?
And then we had to jump forward in time, and then we had to deal with this, you know, ABC Family farce that was the rest of it.
Oh.
Your California tie-dye laid-back attitude. hey, Hollywood. There's a lot of virgin talk in that movie, huh?
And a lot of murder for a Disney film.
Seriously, they just watched those witches like cook alive in a kiln. That was kind of totally fucked up.
But they were fine.
And they straight up murdered a child within the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, that's true.
They legitimately did. Actually, 2 children. Well, I guess they didn't murder Binks.
He's dead.
Well, it wasn't clear if he died because the magic went away, or if he died because he fell to his death and then didn't get regenerated that time.
Yeah.
Well, he only gets, 11 or 12 regenerations?
I think he died because the witches. Well.
So I did enjoy the motorcycle cop, not played by, but should have been played by Patrick Warburton.
Oh my gosh, it should have been played by him.
Like, that was clearly what they were going for right there.
Was
I don't
he
know that I
even
know who
big
that is.
when this movie came out?
The Tick
Kronk.
or Putty from Seinfeld.
Oh, Croc. See? Croc's the one I knew him from.
Yeah.
From what?
The llama movie.
Emperor's New Groove.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you say, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a bad movie. Don't even.
Squeak, squeaker, squeak it.
I've never seen it.
It's so good. It's really funny.
But yeah, so the Easy Bake Witches thing. Did
the
that not bother
bibliothèque?
anyone else that the movie ended there and then it didn't end?
Is that your whole thing? No, that made total sense to me.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
this spell that they cast guaranteed that they stayed alive throughout All Hallows Eve night until the morning. That's the spell that she casts. That they're alive until the break of dawn if they don't get the souls of children.
How'd they break out of the oven?
Oh, that I don't know.
So they should have been alive, but stuck.
But stuck in the oven, absolutely.
And what
I
kind of
thought
a
you were
fucked
gonna-
up plan was that? I've got an idea. Let's fucking burn him to death in the oven at school.
Burn them to death. Thanks,
That's
Disney.
what you do to witches. That is literally what they did to witches.
Didn't you call it the Holocaust oven at one point?
Oh, yeah,
Nick?
it's very Auschwitz.
Yeah, but they set it up that they didn't burn the witches. They hung the witches in this movie. So that they had that idea was pretty
That's
fucked
true.
up.
For kids.
Yeah.
Apparently that broke Bret. I don't understand.
This is why we should suck their souls.
Because
These
kids
evil
are
children.
they're not capable of physically overpowering them. They're tricking them.
I thought you were just they're kids. Of course they would think of cooking them to death.
Kids
I
are
meant,
made of evil.
I meant how are kids gonna overpower 3 witches and hang them and build the whole thing to hang the witches?
To build
No.
the gallows.
Yeah, the gallows.
That would have made an interesting end to the story.
That's way worse
Was-
than just throwing them in an oven.
Wouldn't that have been part of the museum though?
Hey, Mom and Dad, we need to gather together supplies and quickly build gallows. Don't ask me why.
Sorry, we tore
Sorry.
down the swing set, but we really needed it to hang these witches.
They could have had an extended dance sequence where they were dance building the gallows.
Dancing and building. Dance
Oh.
building. I thought the moment that you were going to bring up was the moment where Bette Midler clearly understands how a police officer pulls over a car and asks for their license and registration.
And also the lyrics to I Put a Spell on You.
Well, that one I'll give her.
Yeah.
Well, she only knew the first couple of lyrics, and then
And then she made them up.
she made them up.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb when needed and pretty savvy when needed.
So watching this, I have to say that I would totally go to a haunted house that was Hocus Pocus themed.
You know, I was thinking of the same thing. Like, if this is the ultimate Halloween movie, then why is there not a maze in Universal Horror Nights with this?
Maybe it's
'Cause
not
it's-
a Universal movie.
it's
a
not-
Disney movie.
No, it is a Disney movie.
Actually scary.
That would
but
be amazing, though.
Yeah, but it also might be like as cheesy as the Monster remix maze, where there's like a DJ Frankenstein.
Oh, God.
Dude,
There's just someone dressed as Bette Midler singing the whole time.
You guys are just selling this even further. You think that this is making it sound like a bad idea, but this is just making it sound like a great idea.
And then there's like younger Jay and Silent Bob hanging from the ceiling. Hey.
Totally
Yeah, I
sold.
could see this whole thing as a Disneyland attraction.
Actually, this would be pretty good. Disney, if you're listening.
They even managed to inject Johnny Depp into this somehow.
What? Where?
the
As
zombie.
Johnny, it's like Duncan Jones as Johnny Depp as the zombie.
Oh, yeah. That's true. He could be like the quirky guy at the end of the, haunted house. Come back next time.
Doing his shitty Keith Richards impression.
So what is the deal with movies like this and the kid getting
the deal with...
movies like this and the kids getting the most badass room in the house?
Oh my god,
Like,
I know.
oh, we just moved to Salem, so the kid gets to have the gigantic room with a cupola and, stairs in the bedroom.
Did
and...
you not get the cool room as a child?
No, I got the worst possible room as a
I
child.
forced my parents to trade rooms with me.
Yeah, Nick was essentially Harry Potter as a kid, like just under the stairs.
Under the stairs.
Well, pretty much, like,
Pretty much.
if you tried to open my bedroom door, it hit my bed.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah,
Where'd you
just-
live, in New York?
No.
Wow. Nick, did your parents build a shed for you? in the... Did you also have to walk through the backyard to get to the bathroom?
Just pooped out the window.
Too
God.
far.
Did you guys notice in the credits Pixar?
I did. I pointed that out, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So this was when Pixar was doing was like an offshoot of
it's
Lucasfilm doing visual effects.
exactly, but it wasn't Pixar, the company. It was before that when Pixar was just the name of the computer they were using.
Oh.
Wow.
So it was like
Interesting.
the beta Pixar.
Beta
There
Pixar.
didn't really seem to be anything really digitally composited in, like
the
maybe the
cat.
lightning
The
fingers.
cat.
The cat.
The cat.
There was lots of CG cat.
Huh. That's fascinating. Yeah, because I knew they were just like this little offshoot of Lucasfilm doing visual effects. I just didn't really know what movies they were involved with.
Apparently this one, and then they were like, "Hey, let's spin off into our own company and make Toy Story."
Hey,
Let's make good movies.
We can do better than this. Come on, guys.
Thank God they got a lot better at animating because that cat was not
That
great.
cat was pretty rough.
It was pretty
Yeah.
rough, but like as much as I bitched about a lot of other CG in like later 90s movies, like that was all right for 93.
Yeah.
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 I guess I thought it was like a puppet composited onto. I
Sometimes
didn't
it was a
think of
puppet.
it as-
Yeah, I feel like it might have been like a puppet with CG face
No.
or something. Like the face was like too
The
animated.
whole head was definitely CG. I think the only time I really noticed that it was a puppet was when he got ran over.
So they just had like a headless cat that they CG'd a head onto.
I honestly didn't pay attention to the body because I was too busy watching how terrible the lip sync was.
The lip sync? Oh, on the animated cat?
Yeah.
Oh.
It
shoot.
wasn't great, but, for 93, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I thought the rotoscoping the ghost Binks guy at the end was pretty hilarious. It was hilariously awful.
Yeah, that whole ending sequence was kind of weird.
I like how the gates open for the ghosts and then close after they go through. Like,
Danny,
you couldn't
Danny.
just walk through it.
Danny, I'm with you always. Creepy.
I'm gonna walk away now.
It really was.
but I'll be behind you.
I'll be with you always.
In a movie like what most movies are, which are all about the
In a
ultimate
movie
goal.
like movies.
Well, where the ultimate goal is just to survive. That whole end of the movie was about just dealing with the fact that half of everybody involved was now dead.
Also previously dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, all right, Billy, have a good night.
Yeah.
Being dead, you know?
Yeah, he's like, peace.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, the cat's dead. That's the worst thing that's happened this whole movie. I'm so sad. Don't be sad. I'm dead now. Okay?
Well, he got to be with his sister.
Who is dead. Yeah, so it was all about like being okay with the thing happening that we were trying to avoid the whole movie,
Well, isn't
which is
that-
half of everybody dying.
Well, I think they were trying to avoid the entire city of Salem being killed.
The alternative to that ending is they have a human as a pet.
That's a little creepy.
No, like the alternative is an awesome talking cat who's completely humiliated every single day because it's actually a dude, but this little 8-year-old girl is gonna like put it in a headlock every time she
Dude,
goes
okay,
to
okay.
sleep.
Revelation. If the cat had not died, that totally would have been Sabrina the Teenage Witch's origin story.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
Totally.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Salem. And then he took over the name of his hometown, Salem.
Yeah.
And
I
Is
think
that
it-
the cat's name in
yeah,
Sabrina?
Salem. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
I think
I
so.
thought it was
I haven't
Sam.
seen it for
Once
a while.
again,
but
not the target audience.
You're not like a 14-year-old girl in the 90s?
No.
So did that one scene? This is just a random thought, but that one scene in the alley with the guy grabbing the lobster out of the tank, was that supposed to be like a Little Mermaid tie-in real life reference?
it could have been.
I don't know.
There was also a giant
'Cause he-
Mrs. Potts running around.
Well, no, because he wasn't saying les poissons, hee hee hee, ha ha. That's how you would know if it's a Little Mermaid reference.
No, he was too busy
I
singing
always loved in that
Fuda-Fafa.
song how he rhymed poisson with ha ha ha. Like that's the perfect rhyme.
Speaking of Disney stuff, in the beginning of the movie, when the brother makes a deal with his sister about going out to the creepy house, and she says, next year you'll have to dress as Peter Pan with tights and everything. Mm-hmm. That reminded me that when I was about 3 years old, I totally made my poor grandpa dress as Peter Pan, and I was Tinkerbell,
Nice.
and
Oh.
he had to wear green tights, and there is actually photographic evidence, and I feel really bad.
Your grandpa?
My grandpa
Like old man in tights?
Well, he wasn't that old then. All my family's pretty young. But yeah.
How old do you have to be to not be that old to wear tights? I feel like you're always too old to be wearing tights.
You're saying he was a man, old man, a man in tights, tights. That's what he was.
That is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
So, I guess, what did everybody think about it?
Well,
Nick.
oh God, I'm trying to remember. There was something you were talking about before the movie.
Bibliothèque?
No, High School Musical. I think it's a perfect analog to High School Musical.
Oh, Jesus. Don't
No, I
even-
truly do. Like, this is something that certain people loved, so I have to respect it. I can see the value of it. I can see how,
Can't believe you just
I don't know,
compared this to High
5-year-old
School
girls in
Musical.
1993 would love it. It's not good,
Uh,
but I can understand how
I put a spell on you.
certain people in certain times of their life would enjoy it. And I
Certain
think
times of their life.
that's kind of the point of this whole experiment, is seeing that some of us love certain
Just say
movies
you hated it. You hated it.
during a time
You
and
just
place
really-
in their
you
life.
really
That doesn't
hated
mean
it.
that those movies are good today.
This is such a polite way of putting that you hated it.
I hated it.
You hated
I
it.
hated it. I did not like this movie. I'm not a 5-year-old girl in 1993.
That was pretty much exactly what I expected. Not a great movie, but I still love it because I remember it as a kid. And I will probably still watch it every year at Halloween just because of that reason.
Was anything different than you remembered?
The jokes were a lot more inappropriate than I remember them being. Other than that, it was about the level of cheese that I would have expected. Maybe it was slightly better than I anticipated, but
There's like, in my opinion, a certain charm to the 90s movies that you don't see in kids' movies today. Like, you would never see some of those inappropriate jokes, or like you would never see a child die within the first 5 to 10 minutes of a child kids film today.
I don't know.
Can you
that's
name
true.
another movie
Well,
like that?
like Up.
Paranorman.
A child does not die within the first 10 minutes of that movie.
Right, an old lady does.
Yeah, but a child, like, that's genuinely usually
Fuck
not
old
okay. Yeah, nobody cares about old people, Nick.
Okay. So specifically, it has to be a child. Like Mufasa doesn't. Like that was kind of a big deal. when
Mufasa doesn't
died.
count either.
I know, but it's like it's facing children with significant amounts
Here,
of death.
I will give you an example.
Nemo's mother.
Also not a child.
I know, but these are traumatic
No,
events.
it has to be a child. I'm saying that kid died within the first, like, 10 minutes of this film, and, like, we were all okay with it. Like,
Well,
nobody
I mean, you
was
could
upset.
see her moving in the chair after she was dead, though.
Yeah, you didn't see the life slip from her dying eyes as her arms fell limply to her side.
I'm just saying, child death doesn't happen often in films for kids.
Okay, so apparently in Sleepy Hollow, a kid dies.
What the
Sleepy
fuck,
Hollow is
internet?
not-
what did you Google?
Sleepy Hollow is not a child
She
movie.
googled movies where kids die.
I'm not the first one to ask it either. There's so
There are a
many-
lot of results.
Yeah.
Like, can I address the internet for a moment?
Dear internet,
Like,
Nick would like a word.
internet, you got problems. You're unruly. You've crossed some lines.
In what situation do you need that information besides right now? And besides, if you...
At my old job, totes needed this information where I had to look up random shit in movies.
Besides Sam's old job, this specific situation and the situation that Bret proposed earlier in a Hunger Games world, when do you need this information?
I feel like this list is getting pretty long of reasons that we have to exclude. I feel like there's reasons, Ash.
I guess so.
Do you guys think this movie, with its theatrical release, comparing it to Jumanji's like 100 million and, you know, Jurassic Park's $1 billion, that the 30 mil this made is kind of shitty?
Yeah, but consider it was meant for TV. They probably spent like 10 mil on this movie.
Well, and it was released in the summer when it, clearly it would have done better had it been released in fall.
The summer
Clearly.
blockbuster, Hocus Pocus.
So, Brett, what did you think? You've seen this movie before.
Yeah, I'd seen it before, and watching it again now, I feel like my initial assessment was pretty good. That it was kind of a shitty movie, but I was laughing more often than not, which puts it a lot higher than some other movies.
Yeah.
But I also laugh at really bad jokes, so.
It's true.
But I enjoyed it. I think, I would watch that again, given enough alcohol.
I would never, ever watch that again.
Such a prude. I saw you laughing from time to time.
Maybe was I laughing at how preposterous it was?
I don't know.
Did you not laugh at the bubble? I'm in trouble.
It's actually really sad how underused Sarah Jessica Parker is. Like
And she's pretty good in this, too.
it really bums me out when I see good actors subjected to crap like this.
I just love the fact that even if she doesn't have a line in the scene, she is just stealing the scene for whatever the fuck she's doing in the background. There were several scenes. There's one scene where she's like eating a spider and I just can't not look at her. And then
Yeah.
there's another scene where she's just like swinging like a freaking ridiculous crazy person from the fucking gate.
Yeah, at the
you're
cemetery,
like-
and she's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely gets what I'm going to call the David Allen Greer Award for like best character in a terrible movie.
I think, Brett, you were totally correct in the fact that she just seems like this ridiculous druggie. That's just,
super burnout.
yeah. Well, I enjoyed the film. It's been so long since I'd seen it that the beginning part was all new to me again because I completely forgot about all of that. I forgot that it like started in the old Salem time, and there were several moments of this film that I was like, "Oh man, I forgot about that." But
I wonder if there's this phenomenon that I've experienced. These movies.
Are you going to insult me right now?
No. I think
film?
it's kind of interesting.
No, you're going to insult me.
Not at all. There's movies that we've seen millions of times, but we haven't seen the whole thing because the millions of times that we've seen them have been on repeats on cable or Comedy Central or something like that, and we always come in 20 minutes in.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've seen this movie 15 times, you might have seen the first part of the movie 3 times.
Maybe.
Like, I'd seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off like 10 times before I saw him tell his parents that he was sick.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That puts the movie in quite a different context.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, then
he's
he's
just
just
like
like
this
this
terrible
kid fucking
person.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the worst child ever.
It's kind of important. I think I picked up in context, but yeah.
I have to admit that it like was slightly not what I remembered. I don't know if I would say it wasn't necessarily as good, but I still enjoyed myself. I mean, maybe it was a teeny bit not as good as I remembered, but it was still, I still had a really good time. It was a bit more cheesy, I think, than I remembered it being, but I was
Not
fine.
cheesy, whimsy.
Whimsy.
No, it's cheesy.
Also, Bette Middler turned into a weeping angel.
She really did.
Oh my
She
god.
really did turn into a weeping angel.
Hey, Bryce, what did you think?
It was alright. Kind of cheesy.
Oh, we just said not cheesy whimsy.
No, it's cheesy. Bryce is right.
Is it?
The Bryce is right.
Is the Bryce is right? Well, Sam and I liked it, and Brett.
So there you have it. This movie is 3/5 good.
So the 3/5 compromise is that we'll never watch that movie again.
Oh,
The 3/5 compromise is you need to cut this bit.
yeah. This is
So
not
that
good.
was Hocus Pocus, and we hope it brightened your Halloween. It certainly darkened mine.
Boo.
Well, I think that's it for us. Thank you very much. And if you also watched Hocus Pocus, our apologies.
No.
Oh,
we are
no.
not sorry.
Three-
I bet they
3/5
loved it.
3/5 of you probably had a great time. 2/5 of you had a great time.
Please tweet us
The rest of you had some goddamn sense.
on Twitter and tell Nick how wrong he is. You can tweet at us at Let's Rewatch and just tell him how awfully wrong he is in his taste of movies and childhood. Your taste in childhood and children.
If you want to discuss the ethics of killing children for the public good, you can Twitter at me at bread_Eagles.
So thank you for listening to Let's Rewatch and watching Hocus Pocus along with us.
Yeah, if you have other suggestions, you can tweet at us at Let's Rewatch. And I just wanted to thank a couple people that have been tweeting at us on Twitter. Erica G, who just tweeted tonight and guessed that we were watching Hocus Pocus. We have Mason Knapp, Mal R retweets, HM Pod, and several others. Thank you for tweeting at us. Please send us your movie suggestions. We'd love to hear them. And we want to give a big shout out to I think it's A#5, who left us a 5-star review on iTunes. So thank you very much for that.
Speaking of reviews, if you listened to the show and loved it, please review us. If you listened to the show and hated us, lie.
Shut the fuck up.
And don't forget that this is one of many parts of the Last Dash TV network. We're on YouTube at Last Dash TV. You can find the nerd stuff, nerd food, and nerd lulz. There's lots of all three of those things with the shows like The Hunger Games, the great video game parodies, and me and Ash's other awesome drinking show, Let's Drink, where we drink alcohol, usually. It's pretty
Even
funny.
more than we do here.
Yeah, more than here, which is a lot.
So make sure you subscribe on iTunes. Join us every other week as we check out more movies from our past and see if they're actually any good.
Yeah, next time we're going to be watching Three Ninjas Knuckle Up.
Three Ninjas Knuckle Deep, what?
That sounds like a porno.